If you're an animated character and anything imaginable, anything and anyone can happen to you and or others at any time and any place. Walt Disney himself loved his animated projects when he was alive. Regardless of how the animation industry is being treated these days, I think we can all agree that they could do more things than some live action stuff in the world of Hollywood. As for Pixar Animation Studios, it was only a matter of time before they gave us a new way as to how animated movies are made. And since that faithful time in 1995, they've shown us the toys that come to life, the monsters in our closets, the little voices inside our heads, etc. Today's movie I'm about to review is Pixar's most recent at the time of this video because Luca will come out sometime after. Anytime now. Anyway, it's called Soul, as this film stars Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, and many others in a runtime of over 100 minutes. Let's see if the film itself gets a 100% grade from me because of that. Are you ready to die and learn the meaning of life? Me neither, but we're doing it anyway. Oh, and this review will spoil the movie if you haven't seen it yet. There's your PG warning. In this Disney Plus exclusive release because of the COVID-19 pandemic reigning supreme, Joe Gardner starts off as a part-time music teacher before he transitions into being a full-time one, much to his dismay because he always dreams of becoming a jazz musician someday. One day, he gets a chance to audition with Dorothea Williams before being in his zone for a bit. Afterward, he finally gets the opportunity to perform tonight and make his dream come true. But while Joe celebrates his eventual big break, he dies. Rep. Okay, no, actually he's not yet dead, as he escapes from going to the great beyond, sound familiar anyone? Into the great before, where new souls get their personalities, quirks, and interests before being born on Earth. While there, Joe is tasked with mentoring the 22nd soul ever created called 22, who can't find her spark, nor does she not want to go to Earth because she doesn't see a reason to all, while trying to get back to his body before it dies, and maybe discover the meaning of life. Gee, how can the get back to his body thing go horribly wrong? Good! Now, because this is Pixar, expect the animation to be top notch, because it is here. Both New York City and what I'm going to call the Afterworld, because I don't know what else to call it, are both explored throughout the film with good world building, by the way. The animation on the Jerrys and Terry especially are amazing because they were made from wire sculptures while director Pete Docter was making the movie. The characters, including our two leads named Joe Gardner and 22, are really likable. The former is because he may only think about wanting to be a jazz musician in his life, but eventually it comes back to bite him in the ass and he realizes the movie's message, which I will get to. The latter is because she represents that one person who's afraid of stepping out into the world because he or she doesn't know what possibilities it could offer. It's basically how people are afraid of what they don't understand, and I like that. The voice acting is really good here as well. Like, they actually got the best people to match the characters they're playing. I also love how a PG-rated movie got away with saying hell over and over again. That's cute. The main antagonist of the movie, in the form of Terry, is quite interesting because he's not actually evil, as he's still doing his job at the end of the day, even though Joe and 22 still have to avoid him at all costs. The music for this film is interesting as well because the music in the New York moments of the film were composed by Jon Batiste, while the metaphysical world, as I now would like to call it by the way, has music composed by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross from The Social Network. Cool, huh? Eventually, in the second act of the film, it becomes a body swap film with Joe Gardner's soul in the body of a cat, while 22 is in Joe's body. What's really good here is that if you like the mysterious Mr. Enter and don't like the voice star mental trope, then thank God it's not in this movie. The story is really unique in that it turns the typical follow your dreams formula on its head as the message of this movie reveals itself. Basically, like the quote from Zootopia, it's good to have dreams, as long as you don't believe in them too much. I say that because Joe Gardner, before he achieves his dream, takes life for granted as he doesn't get to know much about his friends nor the world around him. All he was obsessed with throughout his life is playing jazz. When Joe realizes he bleeped up, he is then willing to live life to the fullest. That's a really good message for kids to understand. The sound design is good here as well, especially when Joe in 22 enters the busy streets of New York City for the first time. Also appreciate what Pixar did for their take on life before we are born, The Zone, and Lost Souls. Well done, Pete Doctor. Now give me a cookie. The comedy and drama in this film is not that bad either. Lol. I also like the cutaways to various historical figures' souls. There's also a nice ending that leaves things up for interpretation, and I like that. Bad! As for issues I have with the movie, well, in order for Joe Gardner to get back to his body, which has gone horribly wrong by the way, he had to get out of a coma by connecting his untethered soul back to said body. One of the characters in the movie who can help with that, named Moonwind, said that he and his buddies have never connected an untethered soul back to his body before, like, at all. Pixar? I know the movie I'm about to mention came out while this one was in production, but did none of you guys watch the 2019 film Breakthrough? Which is a story about a teenage kid placed into a coma, and spoilers for that movie, came back to life eventually? Okay, I've never seen the film, but the point still stands. There's also some things here that don't make sense, like how come the count hasn't been off in centuries instead of every few moments or so? How is the cat alive when Joe finally gets back to his body? How is one soul allowed to change another person's life, in this case Bjorn T. Borgensen, into his own? How come every time a portal to the great beyond opens up, it makes a scary opera-like sound, even though I like the sense of impending doom for Joe? What happened to all the other uncounted souls going to the great beyond while Terry was looking for Joe? How are the Jerrys going to fix a screen that was torn up by 22's last soul? How is Moonwind's pirate ship going to be fixed after it was also ruined by 22's lost soul? And not to mention, I'm actually glad that Joe gets to come back to life in the end, because if he actually went to the great beyond, that would mean that he died by simply playing the piano and entering and jumping off of the zone. Very implausible, am I right? Oh, and also, how did all of 22's mentors enter the great before in the not so same way that Joe did? One last complaint I have with this movie is the post-credit scene where Terry breaks the fourth wall and tells the viewers to go home. This is because unless you're living in a country that didn't have a home or some home due to This is because unless you are living in a country that didn't have Disney Plus or were in a festival or something, this moment doesn't work because we are at home due to you-know-what. I mean, they had the time to put in the credits that they finished the movie despite what was happening, but can't fix a now pointless scene that makes little sense. Oh my Jerry. Overall, Soul is a good movie that is basically Pixar's meaning of life that can be taught to children who watch this $150 million animated film. I do recommend it even with all its shortcomings. So with that taken care of, I'm going to give this movie 4 fingers out of 5. Alright everyone, that's it for this movie review of mine. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and or whatever floats your boat. I'm the Purple Mario, and may the Jerrys have mercy on my soul.